guilty of crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up again? I am Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back, y'all. Come on in. I saw a bunch of you earlier when we talked about Austin Drummond's capture. Now, I know everybody's wanting to hear about that right now, and there's probably, 50 stations, but today we are talking about Adrian Jones, 7-year-old boy, starved and then fed to the pigs by his own parents. So let me say what's up, everybody. Come on in. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. If you're on the rewatch crew, then hey, share some love, spread this around, and share with your community. How you guys doing today? What's up? Good to see you. Sometimes I feel like I should have a longer intro that keeps going. I see a lot of shows come on and their intro plays for like 10, 15 minutes and you're sitting there and chat and you're all hyped up and you're excited. But today, trigger warning, a huge trigger warning. What is up, Janet? Thank you so much, you guys. This little guy, Adrian Jones, this is one of the worst abuse cases in recent history, guys. It really is a bad one. So I got to give you guys a huge trigger warning. This case happened some time ago. Adrian Jones, 7-year-old boy from Kansas City, Kansas. Now, his life ended in one of the most horrific child abuse cases ever prosecuted in Wyandotte. I think you say, how do you say Wyandotte or Wyandotte County? We'll just say Kansas City. All right. So I'm going to put this up. Come on in. I want people to come in so they don't come back and say, Jay, what did I miss? All right. I don't know, but I got to know. Yeah, you guys do need to know about this case. Many people have covered this case partially in the past, but this is one of the worst cases in recent history ever. So I'm going to show this picture. This is not the picture I want to show. This is the picture that I want to show. And then I'm going to show you a really triggering image after, because we need justice for Adrian Jones. Now, his name is Adrian Alexander Jones. And I'm not going to keep this on too long, guys, but I'm going to flash back and forth. If you're coming on in, take a look at this little beautiful guy, Adrian Jones, and then look again. Look at the screen, guys, and then look again. Look at what happened to that little angel. Beautiful little Adrian Alexander Jones, better known as Adrian Jones. If you want to remember his name, I'm going to flash it, and then I'm going to flash it back because it's very triggering. Look at how beautiful that little boy was, and then take a look at the abuse that he endured. That is how he looked on his last days. He's starved. He's beaten. He's emaciated. Look at that, guys. All right. So I'm going to put that back up. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Then we're going to get into it because I do want this to get in the algorithm. I don't want to show too many things that are terrible, but this is a bad case. What's up, Kina? Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Miss Gloria, so sad. You guys, I know you guys really want on this channel to be a voice for those who no longer have one, including and especially the children. All right, so this little boy, you guys are going to not like this case for many reasons, but one of the reasons is this is like Corey Michelo. This is like a Corey Michelo case. What is up? They love. How you doing, my friend? This is like the Corey Michelo case. There was lots and lots of warnings, guys. CPS calls, warnings over and over and over and over. Ask Rebecca or Brianna Michelo how that turned out with Corey Michelo and Christopher Greger. That is another one of these cases. Flag after flag after flag after CPS call after years of calling and reporting this abuse. Look at the screen, guys, and then look again. Look at the screen at this little angel, and then look at what his parents did to him. Yes, they are very traumatizing, and that's why I'm going on and I'm going off, because this case is one of the worst cases in history, right? This child was starved. Adrian was subjected to prolonged torture and starvation by his father, Michael Jones, and stepmother, Heather Jones. It ultimately led to his death November 2015. Now, you ask me, Jay, why are you showing this case? It's 2025, and there's a lot more children out there that need coverage. Yes, but had this case been taken seriously, had CPS stepped in and did what they were supposed to do, had anybody watched or looked at the warning signs that I'm about to show you, we would not have been here. All right. So this case is one to look back and say, what went wrong? Why was this little guy so failed in life? All right. So let's say a prayer for Adrian Jones, that these parents never get out, and that the next little boy that you think, or little girl that you think is being abused, don't think again. Don't think twice. Call the police, call CPS, and make sure you follow up on this. All right, where did this happen? This happened in Kansas City, Kansas. All right, this is happening so often, it needs coverage for you to see what actually happened. All right, some terrible case. Where did it take place? Kansas City, Kansas. All right. Adrian's remains were ultimately discovered in a livestock pig pen on the property after Heather called the police to report a domestic violence. All right. Of course, she's going to go on and say, the dad made me do it. I didn't have any part of this. But this had been going on for years, guys. All right. What's up, Shadow? Say a prayer. Oh, my God, how awful, bless him. Yeah, he was found and fed to the pigs after being abused for so long. All right. So his abuse was systematic and brutal. Surveillance footage shows images recovered from Heather's iCloud that revealed Adrian being shackled, blindfolded, and forced to stand in neck deep cold water overnight. Yes, you heard that. Standing in neck deep cold water all night long. He was confined to a makeshift cell in a shower stall where he eventually died. He was beaten by broomsticks, denied food, and forced to eat bugs and soap. That was his daily intake, bugs and soap. His body was later disposed of in a pigsty where the pigs partially consumed his remains. As you know, they're not going to eat the bones left. All right. So his body was disposed of by feeding it to the pigs where the Joneses lived. If you're familiar with Kansas City, Kansas, on 5201 North 99th Street. All right. So police only visited in November 2025 of 2015 because there was a domestic disturbance complaint by Heather Jones, the other person that was abusing this little guy. All right. People are so evil, and you guys need to know about it. All right. Everyone needs to know about it, and you need to see something, say something, and do something. Because once I tell you how many times that somebody did try to do something, this still happened. All right. Look at this. These are from surveillance photos. These are dog crates. These are bloody lips. These are starvation. This is him in the shower. All right. So again, trigger warning. All right. We're going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to start off with the article. Um, and now, Heather Jones ultimately was charged for this, but she was the second person in the investigation that was doing this to this little boy. And I have so much, such a systematic failure, and the advocacy, everything was failed. So Adrian's maternal grandma, Judy, had been vocal about the failures of child welfare agencies in both Kansas and Missouri. And despite the numerous reports and red flags, Adrian was never removed from the abuse of the home. All right. So later on, his grandma lobbied for Adrian's Law, which mandates that children or child welfare workers physically see an at-risk child during a wellness check. All right. You don't just get to go over there, ask some questions, the children lie, and then move forward. All right. What's up? Good to see you guys. I know. I know. I know. It is like Gabriel Fernandez. It's like Corey Michelo as well. All right. All right. And if you can't watch it, then please keep going. But please, Maria, this is a case that people should know about so that they can see something, say something, and do something, because that wouldn't have happened to this little guy if somebody would have done something. All right. So I'm going to pull up this here. I'm going to pull this to the stage. We're going to go on to the Chilling Crimes. Thanks to one of the crime crew for sending this over to me. Trigger warning. This is from chillingcrimes.com. Blog news, Adrian Jones. And I'm going to tell you guys we're going to do Jay from Guilty of Crime Time with Jay about Adrian Jones. Then I'm going to show you videos and all kinds of stuff. So please buckle in. Yes, your name is gone, and I don't know what it is without seeing it. So hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. So glad to see you, Faith and Repent, and say a prayer that the next child that is being harmed and somebody calls it in, that they take it seriously, okay? What's up, Kim? How you doing? I don't understand either, but let's get into it. Let me pull this over a little bit. I want you guys to be able to embrace what I'm talking about. This is October 2nd, 2020 is when this was posted. Adrian Jones, all right? In the voice of Adrian Jones, he says, my daddy keeps hitting me in the head and punches me in the stomach. And my mom keeps pulling on my ears, and it really hurts. Mommy and daddy locked me in my room by myself. Mommy and daddy can't feed me. All right. Adrian Jones, at the time of the statement, was 5 years old. Remember, his life was taken at the age of 7. So at the age of 5, guys, he was telling people that mommy and daddy don't feed him. Mommy and daddy lock him up. 2 years of CPS calls from grandma, welfare checks, and yet the outcome is what I showed you earlier. We haven't got there yet, Synth. You're asking a lot of questions and we haven't even started. All right? It's CPS. It's police. It's all of the above, my friends. All right? I just started. All right? So listen to that statement. My daddy keeps hitting me in the head and he punches me in the stomach and my mom keeps pulling on my ears and it really hurts. Mommy and daddy locked me in my room by myself. Mommy and daddy can't feed me. That was 5-year-old Adrian. He was passed away by the time he was 7. It was the 25th of November, 2015, a Wednesday, when Heather Jones called police to report a domestic disturbance. She claimed that her husband tried to take her life with a GUN. Police did not know it then, but they were about to discover one of the most horrific child abuse cases they had ever encountered. When police arrived at the house at Kansas City, Kansas in U.S., Heather told them that if they looked around the property, they would find the remains of a boy. The house was filthy. There were bullet holes in the walls and trash thrown all over the house. There were dead mice, rat poison, syringes, and PORN videos on the floor and on the countertops. And you could see the pictures right there, and that's why I'm going over this. Look at those pictures of the house. Listen to what these people are saying. Now, it wasn't just CPS. It was CPS. It was police. It was grandma. It was family. It was little Adrian Jones in his own words that said, Mommy and Daddy don't feed me. They lock me up. And yet it was still ignored all the way up until Heather Jones couldn't take it anymore. And she called the police for a domestic charge, even though she was doing that the whole time. Yeah, she only cared about herself. Filth, filth, and more filth. What's up, Chief Rocka? How you doing? All right. All right, yeah. Hopefully Foxy sees that. Censor, I don't like to miss guilty. I don't like to miss you guys. And what's up? Call me Cupcake, Katie Cupcake, whatever. All right, I'll leave that up for a second. Let's take a look, guys. We're just getting started, so buckle in. Trigger warning. I'm sorry if this is a hard topic, but it needs to be covered. All right, that was their house. Police searched the home and the area outside. They found partial remains of a 7-year-old Adrian Jones. Now, the partial remains were found in a livestock pig pen in the yard near a barn. There's the filth and the trash. Now, Heather was married to Michael Jones, and they lived with 7 children who ranged in age from just under 2 years old to 10 years old. One of the kids was Adrian Jones. Adrian was Michael's biological son and Heather's stepson. For the first couple of years of his life, Adrian lived with his biological mother, Dana Pierce, now in Lawrence in Kansas. But when he was found at home unsupervised, he was removed from his mother's care by Kansas City Department for Children and Families and placed in custody of his father. So he got taken away from biological mom, who you see there. All right. Now, Miss Gloria says a 4-year-old boy in my city unalived himself, left on a table, 17 calls. Yeah, this is basically what's happening here. He didn't take his own life. They fed him to the pigs. All right. I'll leave that up for a minute. All right. He got taken from his mom and removed to his biological dad. That's his mom biologically, and that's that little beautiful little angel. All right. Adrian had not been seen by his extended family for a number of months and had no interaction with the outside world at all. All the children were homeschooled, guys. Why? All right. When Michael and Heather were arrested, Heather asked for her landlord, Jen, to save images of her children from the iCloud. Jen discovered horrific images when she accessed the account. Now, look at how healthy that little boy is. And then you see the pictures of his abuse. He is a beautiful little angel. I just don't get it. Thank you, Foxy, for gifting the One Guilty of Crime membership. We haven't even got into why CPS let this happen, why the mom let this happen, why the dad, why the stepmom, why everybody. There was 7 kids in that house, including this guy, and yet he was still found outside, fed to the pigs. Why? What excuse does that? Why? I don't get it. All right. So let's keep going. Adrian Jones, the images of Adrian and showed that before his death, he was abused in prolonged, sustained, and a barbaric manner. The reality is that Adrian suffered abuse for most of his life, but in the last 9 months before his death, the abuse had escalated to an degree that an adult would find it impossible to cope with, as you see in chat, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Yet Adrian did everything he could to fight for his life, like Corey Michelo. He tried to escape. He tried to get help. He tried to eat. He tried to live. Jen gave those images to the police, and those are the ones I showed you earlier. Those were found on her iCloud, all right, by Adrian's stepmother. Adrian had deteriorated. He went from a healthy little boy that you see down here to an emaciated one with rotten teeth and sunken in eyes. The abuse through the images and videos that were stored in the iCloud provided detailed information or evidence of the torture that Adrian suffered. All right. Now there's this nasty bee right here. All right. We talked about police discovering throughout the home not only filth, but several cameras. There was a camera in every room, and they documented the abuse that Adrian endured. Why did they do that, guys? Are we going to go and talk about Shanda Vander Ark, who also documented Timothy's unaliving, his abuse, his emaciation. Why did they keep doing that? Is my mom here? Mama Pearl, are you in the house, Mom? Oh, hi, Mom. My mom says, hello, poor little boy. My heart aches. Hey, Mama. Love you. Thank you for being here. Look at that piece of trash on the screen, Mom. That piece of trash was abusing that beautiful little boy. And this is just the beginning of it, Mom. It's terrible. All right. We're getting into the arrests right now, my friends. All right. We're getting into it right now. Okay. So this piece of trash was arrested. All right. He was visibly shivering and wearing a shirt with pajama bottoms caught on camera. Heather Jones and his father. I told you about the abuse. All right. We're getting to the arrest and all that. And I'm going to show you Heather's Facebook. So there's the monster number one, the stepmom. And there's his father, Michael. Heather's Facebook also revealed more details of Adrian's abuse. Can you imagine that? On Facebook, she talked about wanting to kill Adrian on Christmas of 2014. She made reference to wanting to simulate an episode of The Walking Dead. Sorry about that. In which the character shoots a child in the back of the head. All right, this was on her Facebook, guys. They no longer called him Adrian. Instead, they referred to him as the boy. His ankles were bent out of shape due to beatings and restraints. Adrian's health had deteriorated so badly that he didn't even have the strength to stand up or lean against the wall. In the last days of his life, he was confirmed to a white tiled shower stall, stripped of all clothes, strapped to a chair, and that's where he was left to die. Police believe that he was left in the shower for 2 weeks after he already passed away. One of Adrian's siblings told police that he heard Adrian screaming through a vent, saying, "I'm going to die." The child said that they heard the mom say, "Suck it up. Who cares? Suck it up." Right? After his death, Heather and Michael bought pigs. After his death, they bought pigs and claimed that they did not feed the pigs for a period of time. Then they threw Adrian's body into the pen. That's where police discovered the partial remains. And there's the little boy that you see. All right, guys, I'm getting to the prosecution and all the other stuff, okay? So buckle in. We just started. I don't want to go ahead before I tell you what happened. All right? Remember, I do 1.5 hour episodes. So I'm going to tell you it all. I'm going to give it all to you, okay? Don't worry. And then I'll answer questions when we're done. Or you guys can chat in chat. I don't want to skip ahead. All right? Now, prosecutors said that Adrian's death was one of the most heinous crimes they had ever seen in 27 years of a prosecutor. All right? Adrian had essentially starved to death and then his body was fed to pigs. We're going to get onto this right now. All right? Cheryl, the chief deputy district attorney, described Adrian as an active and curious boy who was full of life before his father and stepmother subjected him to physical and emotional and mental abuse and starving him on top of that. They both pled guilty to first-degree M and were sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. They've already been in there for 10 years. Heather was also sentenced to 5 years and 8 months in prison for 2 counts of child abuse. At Heather's sentencing, Heather told the court that she felt helpless to protect Adrian from her abuse of her husband. She says, "I can't go back, but I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry." All right, let's watch these monsters on here together. All right, this is the first I'm showing of them. I've been telling you. All right.
$5 million. That is what a KCK stepmother charged with murder will have to pay to get out of jail. The judge decided to keep the bond at $5 million during Heather Jones' first court appearance this morning. Heather and her husband, Michael Jones, both face murder and child abuse charges. 41 Action News reporter Andres Gutierrez is live outside the Wyandotte County Courthouse.
All right, so Wyandotte. It's Wyandotte County, and it's in Kansas City. What's up, Series? How you doing? Or Sirius? I'm not sure how to say that. All your names have changed. What's up? How you doing? All right, yeah, this is heartbreaking, guys. Now we're going to see everything. If you look on the bottom and you see all the videos underneath, you can see that poor little angel emaciated. I'm going to tell his whole story today, guys. So please stay here, hit that like button, and not because you like this content, but because you like the content that I present to you and the information given in these episodes. Hey, Lady for Justice, tomorrow we're going to cover a case that you know so well. All right, let's keep going. Man, this is so sad. There he is right here. They're already 10 years in, guys.
House this midday. And Andres, what was unusual about the hearings this morning?
I don't know.
Yeah, Cynthia, no one from the public was actually able to see Heather Jones make her first court appearance, and that's because a judge decided to do the arraignment through a video connection linked to the jail. I'm told that the charges of murder and child abuse were read to Jones. At this point, she has not entered a plea. We have also learned that as of now, she does not.
All right, so those are the monsters there, guys. That's his biological father and the stepmom. And the only reason the stepmother ever even called or said anything is because she didn't want to get in trouble. And he started abusing her. The monster next to her started abusing her once the life was taken out of little Adrian. It was her turn to get it. And she miraculously called the police. But only for her own safety, guys.
Not have a lawyer to represent her. This all stems from a case of a missing KCK boy who is presumed dead. Prosecutors believe Heather Jones and her husband Michael killed a 7-year-old boy named Adrian. On Thanksgiving morning, police found human remains at the property the couple rented in a rural area of KCK. We did reach out to the owner today, but she is not interested in.
And look at that yard, folks. If you look at that yard, that's a decent looking house, but you start looking at the yard closer, and I'm seeing Jack and Lily type of property. I'm seeing stuff that's dangerous for children. Then you look inside of the house. There's rat droppings, there's bugs, there's chaos, there's locks, there's things strapping these children to a bed. No, they did not deserve that beautiful angel.
Speaking with us, the coroner has said that the human remains belong to a young child, but he is still working to identify the remains, which he has said may take several weeks. Heather Jones will be back here in court next Tuesday morning.
All right, what do you think? You think that D rugs are involved? What do you think about that? This is kind of a nice this one's right, a nice little one. You guys can hold on. Where'd it go? Sorry about that, guys. I can hear this, but sorry, I messed it up. 1 second, guys. My bad. What is up? Yeah, I think I'm good, Lady for Justice. You can send me an email, but yes, it screams METH. Exactly. All right, let's get out of this so I can finish. All right, the investigation revealed it wasn't just Heather and Michael that let Adrian down. Michael and Heather moved the children to a number of places and times in Missouri and Kansas. Now, this is the part you guys don't like, is all of the CPS stuff that was ignored. There were 7 kids, including him. Yes, right? They range from 2 years old to 10 years old. Now, records in Missouri and Kansas revealed that several reports and calls were made that informed social services and child welfare of the abuse that Adrian suffered. All right. Now, listen, Adrian was removed from his biological mother and given to Michael, the biological dad, who ultimately ended his life. Other reports made included calls that were notifying authorities that Adrian was being beaten, being choked, being spanked to the point of his butt bleeding. All right. When they moved to Missouri, further calls were made, including the one that Heather said would beat the living daylights out of the kids for no reason. The caller also alleged that Heather sold METH. Look at that, guys. METH. They were not only doing METH, but they were selling METH in that household. So that tells you that, right? So they were doing that. They were doing it. They were selling it. All of the above. The caller alleged that she sold it. They also included reports that Adrian was eating out of trash cans. All right. And Adrian was only 5 years old at the time. So he had 2 years until his life was taken. They said that the father would kick him so violently in the back of the head that he had a little bone come out, guys. Now, this was in 2013, and he was still alive until 2015. Okay, so I mean, these are bad injuries. And 2014, he spent a few months in a residential treatment center, and then he went back after being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Heather and Michael were allowed to bring him home. All right, so Adrian's sister's doctor speaks after the families are sentenced. In December 2011, Heather faced accusations in Kansas that she also abused another child. The agency found claims that were unsubstantiated. All right, so there's some of the children, guys. At the time Heather and Michael were separated, Michael told social worker that Heather was on drugs. Then the social worker involved in the case believed that Heather had caused Adrian's injuries, and they decided to let him go back into Michael's care. Wow, look at that. You see the pictures of Mama and then the other children? That's his bio mom. All right. So Adrian's maternal grandma is one of the advocates that fought for him, and that's the biological mom's mom. Now we're going to talk about a lawsuit that was filed also after the death of. All right. So the lawsuit seeks $25 million in punitive damages, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. All right. We have so much more to cover. So let me add this back to stage. Thank you for becoming a member. You guys do me a favor, help support the channel. You guys hit the like button, give memberships, and like Pauline did, she gave me a $5 super chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Sirius, who just became a new member. Thank you. I know this is hard. Often wrong people have kids, but this is bad. There's 111 people in chat. Let's say a quick prayer that Adrian Jones and other children like him finally are heard. We need to hear them. All right. We need to hear them, guys. Yeah, they passed him around from person to person. All right, let's take a look at, we're going to look at some of the stations and things like that. So we can take a look at my screen real quick, guys. That was him. And that was him at the end. That was the documented abuse that Heather had on her phone, in the iCloud, and on the cameras. All right. I know the abuse is giving Gabriel over there. And how many other 12, 20, 30, how many other children is that happening to? All right, let's take a look at this. You guys can see some of the things going on, the sentencing, etc. And then we'll continue. All right, I want you to see this. And Michael Jones sentenced to life for taking the life of his 7-year-old son brutally.
Michael Jones, shackled in handcuffs today as he walked to court. He was given a life sentence for the gruesome murder and torture of his 7-year-old son.
The remains of Adrian Jones were found in November of 2015 at this Wyandotte County home. The boy was supposed to be in the care of his father and stepmother, but police say when they got there, they found a house of horrors. Today, his father was sentenced for murdering him and feeding that 7-year-old's boy, the body of him, to pigs. His stepmother, Heather Jones, was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in.
And you see, this was in 2015. All of this went down. It's 2025, guys. Are they going to get out soon? What's going to happen? What's going to keep them? Is somebody going to call in? He was a beautiful little boy. He was a little angel. I don't know how they can do that.
25 years.
Today, her husband, Michael, went before a judge to learn his punishment. And KCTV5's Amy Anderson is live outside of Wyandotte County Courthouse with more on today's sentencing. Amy?
Well, that's right, Brad. It was a tough day. One of the police detectives who read a victim's impact statement to the court.
I'm so glad there was an impact statement, because I feel like nobody was there for Adrian in life. The only YouTube membership I have, I love this channel, name promised S. Iris. Suris, I go by both. Okay, well, Suris, hello, Suris, and thank you for being a member, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. All right, justice for Adrian Jones, most beautiful. I'll leave that down while we finish this.
Said that Michael Jones and his wife Heather tased Adrian as part of their torture on him. He said sometimes for as long as 20 seconds at a time. Then he stopped talking. He paused for 20 seconds and asked everyone in the court to imagine agony, what that must have felt like for little Adrian. Michael Jones could have said something to the family or to the court today, but he didn't. He
Of course
stared
not.
straight ahead and looked at no one. The judge sentenced him to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25.
Don't worry, guys. Nobody's going to miss him, including his own children. And Mo, thank you for the $5 super chat. Here in Reno, a couple abused their 5-year-old daughter and had 4 other children in the house. Now they've been arrested. Hashtag justice for Isabella. As a matter of fact, one of my crime crew members sent this case to me. Tomorrow, one of the crime crew members sent the case to me. If you guys have cases that you want me to cover, like the one below, please email me at guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com so that we can get these cases covered. Okay. I really want to do as much as I can until the next big thing hits where it takes up days and days. Right. Because no children deserves these lives. And if we don't say something about it, it's going to continue.
5 years. Adrian's sister, his mother, and his grandmother all read statements, but by far the most emotional statement came from a KCK police detective who talked about carrying on in this case after Detective Brad Lancaster was murdered. He told the court how much it affected Detective Lancaster and how they vowed to see it through. Detective Stuart Littlefield begged people to remember Adrian and always report suspected abuse and never stop talking about Adrian or what happened to him.
I don't want to torture people, but I want them to know. I don't want them to forget Adrian. I don't want him to.
But isn't that awesome that the Detective Stuart Littlefield is out there being emotional and out there rallying for Adrian? And this case is really one that doesn't, the time doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're in 2050 and we see this case. It needs to be shown so people see that children are slipping through the cracks every day. I'm going to show you that next about the actual CPS reports for 2 years before any of this happened. There's no reason that this should have happened, guys. None. And this officer, I love that he's rallying for this little angel that can no longer rally for himself.
Be another nameless victim. I don't want them to remember Heather and Mike as the
parents
who fed their child to the pigs. I want them to remember a little boy,
Adrian Jones,
who will never be here again. I mean, that's what I sleep with. That's the picture that's on my desk next to the picture of my family every single day. I don't want anyone to ever forget Adrian Jones.
Man, remember that, guys. Adrian Jones. Say the name. Let's use him as an example to get the next child predator or people that are abusing him. Say his name, Adrian Jones. All right. Yeah, we don't want to forget little Adrian. And this case is one that happens too often, all the time, guys, all the time. And I couldn't let this little guy down. I saw his beautiful little face and one of the crime crew members, and I said, I gotta cover this case. I know it's an older one, but you know what? It's all relevant to what we need to do. So I'm gonna pull this down. I'm gonna go over the CPS stuff real quick. Not real quick, but just in the time. There it is there, guys. His little voice. In his little voice, he said, "Daddy keeps hitting me." Adrian Jones, 7 years old, spoke to child services begging for help for 2 years before the evil dad and stepmom tortured him, starved him, and fed him to the pigs. Now, they purposely bought those pigs to dispose of his little remains, right? They didn't have them before. They did that on purpose. Now, if you look at him here, little Adrian, and he's healthy and handsome, and then you look at him here, he's still handsome, but look at his arms. His arms are probably cut and bruised and burned. His diaper doesn't even fit him. He's not even supposed to be wearing a diaper at that age. What's happening? What is going on? 7-year-old boy tortured, beaten, fed to pigs. We know that. Tragic details emerged days after Adrian Jones' dad was jailed for life, carrying out the 9-month campaign of sickening abuse. Little angel, right? This was before he was subject, and this is after. All right, there's before, and I'm not going to leave it on too long because I know it's disturbing. Kelly, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, not a diaper. Where was Biomom? What was that he was wearing if it wasn't a diaper? It looked like a diaper. Let me see. That's not a diaper. Maybe it's a pull-up. Maybe it's just No, it's not. It's underwears that are too saggy for him. Like everything's too big for him. All right. So there he is there. And then that's him afterwards, guys. They took pictures like this. They took pictures like that. It looks like underwear, but people are saying a pull up. So we'll agree to disagree. Whatever it is, this little boy endured it. He was still alive right there. Look at him. All right. End of a 9-month tragedy. His life was lost. They say he was a bag of bones. Now, 2 years prior, July 2013, 5-year-old Adrian told Missouri Children's Division that, and a cop, so CPS and police, that his father would kick him so hard in the head that a little bone would come out. This is Adrian telling police and CPS workers, mommy and daddy lock me in my room by myself. Mommy and daddy can't feed me. In his own words, guys. All right. So we know the case. We saw this. Anonymous callers, many of them called, interviews being done, claiming abuse. Records are damning, and there's an indictment of child services given the 2 years later after him. So I hope they do something about this. I know there's more paperwork on it, but this is a long episode already. So his life was taken at the rental property in 2015 in Kansas after after a family repeatedly moved home and tried to avoid child services. Remember, they were all homeschooled, guys. There's the evil dad, which we don't even care about their names. Evil dad and evil mom. All right. May they never get out. All right. So we went over all this. We see some of the stuff here. They made him stand up so long and be in such an uncompromising position that his ankles literally bowed out from the abuse that they did to him. I agree with that. I agree. All right. His bio mom got him taken away. I'm new to this case too. His biological mom wasn't taking care of him, and CPS took him away and gave him to the dad. All right. Yeah, 10 years and we still haven't learned something about the laws. And they did change laws, but this is disturbing. It's disturbing to see this. How did they do that? How did they let him? The youngster's ankles were bent badly out of shape by the abuse. All right. Now look at that. There's the mom, and they have him in a makeshift shower, you guys. They have a shower. It looks like the shower glass broke. They have a piece of wood, and she's taking a freaking selfie in the mirror. Look at that. You see that? I agree. All the above. Thank you so much, Coco Cutie, for the $9.99 super sticker. This is a tough topic today, guys. All right. There's that nastiness in their kitchen. Oh my God, guys. Tell me that's not disgusting and horrendous. That was in their house on top of a Walmart receipt. It was a dead, what is that, a rat? But it's not only a dead rat, it's emaciated. It was skinny. It looked like even the rats weren't getting fed. I know. This is terrible. I didn't even see that picture earlier. And look at that, guys. What is this? Is this a bunch of needles? This is a bunch of syringes. That's what they were saying. They had syringes. Cops found bullet holes in the wall and syringes and PORN. So syringes, a dead rat, a messy kitchen, bugs, trash. There's this makeshift area that they had him in the shower standing up. That's what happened to his ankles from the way that they did. Oh my God, guys. I need to change this one. I'm sorry. Did you see that? They took a picture of him strapped to a weight set, being blindfolded, and he would spend all day doing that. Oh my God. I didn't even see that. I got this case, and thank you, Faith and Repentance. I will take a look at that. I had not dug into this, but these monsters did that to him. All right. That's what he started out looking like. That's what he ended up looking like before even his life was taken. Those are the monsters that took his life, and they tortured him to that extent. They put weights on him and tied him up blindfolded for hours and didn't feed him. All right. You can see blood stains on the floor beneath him. Look at that. And they didn't take him away. They visited this house, folks, and yet they okayed it. All right, I'm gonna pull this down because this is just this. Yeah, this is one of the holy moly. All right, yeah, methany. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing this one, and I am going to get to the Wicked came out with a boy. I don't want them to be called that. His name's Adrian Jones, the boy who was fed to the pigs, but he's so much more than that, guys. So trigger warning. We're gonna put a little compilation together of Adrian Jones. Remember his name, please. We're not gonna do that. Let's see if I get any.
Outsiders confined in filthy, mice-infested houses where he was.
All right, we don't even want to do that. I'm just gonna put that on while we're discussing things. I want you to see the pictures run through. What's up, Kel? Or Kelsey, how you doing, my friend? So anyway, you guys can take a look at that. It's gonna run through while you see. You guys probably are familiar with Kansas City. There's some churches, Kansas City, Missouri. His stepmother captured on video. They're just rolling through little angel. Now CPS I don't know exactly who's being sued, but we're gonna get into that. Look at what they did. They put him in a nasty, dirty pool, and look at how beautiful that angel was. Folks, look at his beautiful smile. By the time CPS got to him, his teeth were rotten and he didn't have anything left. There was nothing left. All right. So let me I'm gonna put this on. This is the fall of 2015. He was trapped in a white tiled shower and left to die 2 weeks before and after he lost his life. All right. So say a prayer that this little angel feels like he got the justice he deserves. But we need to feel that way because I don't feel that way right now. Look at guys, those are the pigs. How could those pigs have eaten him? It doesn't make sense. I just don't get it. And Michael and Heather Jones child abuse is one of the worst ones ever. And again, trigger warning, guys. I can't help the pictures that are being captured. And I just want to make sure this gets documented properly. Liv Wade says it took 7 calls to CPS to get my 3 little cousins out of a very neglectful, abusive, and toxic household. After the 7th call, they finally did something. Yeah, you know who was taking the pictures? Was Heather, the one that's on METH that was selling it and distributing it and taking it. Yeah, that's her. That's her. All right. I'm not playing the voices because they're ridiculous. All right, let me keep going. I know there's more here that we can that I can talk about. So there's the 911 call. Moving his father, Kansas City workers became aware of the problem. They're just kind of going through what happened there. Let me see if there's anything else that I missed here that I wanted to tell you as that plays. All right, okay, so we know that the failure here was terrible. Initially, there was 2 years of CPS, them moving around, trying to avoid life in prison with parole after 25 years plus 5. So Heather got 30 years and Michael got 25, and he got LWOP. No parole eligible. Oh, he actually didn't get that. He got life with the possibility of parole, guys, which is terrible, right? All right, let me take a look at this because the abuse started in 2011, guys. Oh my goodness, I didn't know they were going to show that one again. I'm sorry. Again, trigger warning because I can't change the pictures that they took and I don't want to edit them. I want you guys to see what happened to this little guy. What is that? Look at that. He was stripped and confined to a shower, forced to stand in. Okay, there it is. That was the neck deep water, dirty swimming pool that they would make him stand in overnight. And it says he was trapped on the aversion table with handcuffs. So you can see at the very end of this, guys, this looks like it was being captured from their cameras that they had all over, and they would keep him out there. If you look closely at this picture, he was already skin and bones by then, and they just took pictures of it. Nothing to see here. Let's just take pictures and document this. Yeah, this is a rough one, guys. All right, we're gonna finish this and then we're gonna see the outcome. I don't know how much more I can. There's a lot in this case, but do I want to talk about all of it? Ugh, the family moved frequently, trying to avoid. And the timeline starts in 2011, guys. 2011. And it ended in 2015 when his life was taken. All right. Let me pull that down. Yeah, I don't think this will be a full episode today. It's pretty alarming. Man. All right. Michael Jones sentenced to life in prison. Adrian, I want you guys to see this because I mean, this definitely is not going to do anything to bring this little guy back. And One Love, just like Jen Soto, moved around to avoid CPS. Now, we didn't hear about anybody selling pictures on the web. I think they were documenting the camera's footage for themselves so they can watch him when they're gone, etc. Just like Shonda Vander Ark did. All right. But I mean, yeah, look at that. Read what Mo says, and we'll take a look at the lawsuit that was filed by the family. Why are they doing it now, though? That's what I don't understand is why did that have to happen in order for it just doesn't make sense. There's too many calls, too many warnings. All right. They were not homeschooling, that's for sure. What's up, Michelle Horak? Good to see you, my friend. Horak. All right, let's see the family being wrongful death suit, and then I'll chat with you guys for a minute. And I think I really want this to get out there to the community. There's so much in this case that we can keep going over, but I want people to see this and what happened.
$25 million wrongful death lawsuit has been filed in the death of Adrian Jones. It's aimed at the people who are supposed to protect children. Adrian, you might remember, is the young boy who was horribly abused. His body was fed to pigs to cover up the crime. Investigative reporter Angie Racono looks at who is being blamed. Angie.
Well, Ellen, this is Heather and Mike Jones. That's Adrian's stepfather.
Mike who? Mike Jones. All right, let me just tell you real quick before we finish getting to what happened. Now, this started in 2011 and 2012. Multiple reports were made to Kansas Department of Children, or DCF, about the abuse, the GUNs, the DRUGs that were used in the Jones household. Now, this is 4 years prior. All right. Now, 2013, 2 years prior to him being unalived, Adrian was diagnosed. Adrian Jones is the victim here with PTSD and placed in a treatment center, then returned to his father after that to give him an aftercare plan. Do you think they followed up with that? No. 2011, the abuse report started. All right. By 2013, Adrian was diagnosed with PTSD in a treatment center and released to his father. By November 25th, 2015, Heather Jones called the police. Adrian's remains found in the pigsty. 2016, a year later, Heather pleads guilty to first degree. She's sentenced to life plus 5 years and 8 months for the child abuse and taking of his life. Adrian Jones. Now, May 3rd, 2017, 2 years later, Michael Jones pleads guilty, sentenced to life in prison with parole eligibility after 25 years. In 10 years from now or less, these people can be out. Now, good news is Adrian's Law. Listen, guys, Adrian's Law was introduced to strengthen child abuse reports and the oversight of homeschooled children. That was between 2017 and 2020. It was implemented. So I want to know what you guys think of that. All right. There's a new Adrian's Law that came out about this. And Millie Rivera, good to see you, my friend. It's been a while. Thank you. Thank you. Come on in. All right. I'm going to look up Adrian's Law here in a minute so you guys can see what that means. Now, Adrian's Law does have to do with not only child abuse, but what is happening to these homeschooled children and how is it happening? All right. So Adrian's Law is in Kansas City. Has anyone heard about Adrian's Law? That happened between 2017 and 2020. 2020. I'm going to show you what Adrian's Law is here in a minute because I think it's important. All right, let's find out what the wrongful death lawsuit was.
Adrian's father and his stepmother, and they are in prison for his death. They pleaded guilty to criminal charges. So this lawsuit we're talking about today is a civil case, and it's blasting all of the other people who this suit says knew about the abuse but did nothing to stop it.
A new lawsuit targets social workers, hospitals,
the
Department of Children and Families,
you hear that?
therapists, calling them disinterested bystanders.
Yep.
They effectively allowed his father and stepmother to continue to abuse, torture, and ultimately murder the little boy while they stood idly by, writing it all down. KCTV5 previously reported Adrian's words when DCF files were released. Sometimes he kicks me on the back of my head and a little bone comes out.
Now, listen, we were just talking about Corey Mitchell. Corey told CPS that what his father did as well. He gets hit in the stomach. It hurts. He is making him run in the treadmill. He's falling. We're seeing him. The judge, we now know, saw that video. CPS saw that treadmill video of Corey Mitchell and then handed him back to Christopher Greger. Justice for all kids. You're absolutely right. Montana Mystic, Jay, you're doing great. Take a breath. I know how deeply these cases affect you. I'm only not taking a breath because I want to get this all out, and it's hard. It's triggering, but it's a must. It's a necessity that you guys see what happened and what the repercussions are and how the laws changed. All right. So we're going to finish this on the civil lawsuit, and then I'll show you Adrian's Law. You guys do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't, and then share this video with your friends and community so they know what's happening. Why is it happening?
Daddy keeps hitting me in the head and punching me in the stomach. My mom keeps pulling on my ears. It really hurts. Social workers who heard and wrote those words down are individually named. So are their supervisors and the entire Kansas Department of Children and Family Services. Also targeted, Spofford Hospital, where Adrian spent months of his life. The lawsuit.
And I'm glad we got to hear about this, guys, and we get to see it because a lot of times we don't get to hear about this because of the HIPAA laws. We can hear and speculate, but nobody actually tells us what was being done. Now, this little boy could have been saved at this time when he was in that place. How can you diagnose a 5-year-old with PTSD and then hand him back to the people with what he's saying? It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I'm not happy about this, obviously.
Claims Mike Jones told employees he would not follow through with AJ's treatment plan and that Adrian began regressing and even biting himself when he learned he would go home.
Again, does this remind you of Dakota? What about little Dakota? I just went on to my post page and Khalil, which is Dakota's brother, is asking for help to keep him in a hotel for another night. All of that affects everybody. Even though Khalil wasn't abused, Dakota was. And Dakota's parent, Al, and all the goons said the same things. Yeah, Shadow. I actually just posted that on my page. I was talking with the person that does Crime Champs, and they do Dakota Collins. They covered Dakota Collins, and they informed me about Khalil needing funding. So I donated $75 to him to help him to pitch in towards a hotel. And speaking of that, if anybody wants to donate to Dakota Collins' brother Khalil, go on to my page, on my community page, and take a look and go donate. Go help him out. Crime Champs is hosting it, so everything, if you have questions, will be directed at Crime Champs. All right, Indy, good to see you, my friend. All right, let's wrap this up, guys.
Adrian spent the final months of his life living back at home with Heather and Michael Jones. He was locked in rooms and eventually trapped in a shower where he was strapped to a chair. He died in that bathroom coffin. Detectives testified his body began to smell, so it was removed and fed to pigs. The lawsuit says all of the people named failed miserably in their duty to intervene and protect the life of this helpless, vulnerable young victim. It asked for at least $25 million in punitive damages.
This lawsuit was filed on behalf of
These-
surviving family members of Adrian Jones, including his siblings, grandmother, and his biological mother. Adrian was removed from his mother's care when he was 2.5 due to neglect.
Oh my God. 2.5 is one of the most vulnerable ages. All right. Dakota was similar and heart-wrenching, and the parents said the same things. They blamed it on Dakota, just like they're blaming it on Adrian. Yeah. Denying that the diagnosis existed. You're absolutely right. Of course they're going to do that. They do not want to be get a lawsuit. They don't want to lose a civil case for $25 million if they're named in it. I know, Suzanne. I do know. And you could also donate directly to the John Walsh NCMEC as well. But right now, I'd love to help Khalil out. Right? Let's hear about Adrian's law, so you guys know that he did bring something to this world, and I hope that Madeline gets a Maddie's law, and I hope that Corey gets the Corey law. I think they're working on it. If you want to keep tabs on Corey Mitchell, you can go to the Justice for Corey page on Facebook. All right, let's hear about the Adrian's law and why they're saying it's too restrictive. They're trying to oppose Adrian's law right here. All right, I'm going to show you Dakota. I'm going to show you the page for where you can donate to Dakota's brother Khalil. All right. Yeah, they do. They need to be held accountable, though.
Advocates of Adrian's Law. The bill is named after Adrian Jones, the 7-year-old who was tortured and killed by his dad and stepmom in 2015. It happened in Kansas City, Kansas. Adrian's Law would strengthen child abuse reporting laws and ensure those investigating physically visit with the child to ensure their safety. I-Team reporter Jessica McMaster explains why a retired police chief voiced opposition to the bill.
What? All right, you guys got to hear this before we dip out. Why would they oppose that? You rolled in just when same question I had. Why the opposition? All right, let's hear it. What excuse do you have, sir? Is it messing up your political agenda?
The children suffer the most. They have nobody to go to bat for them, so that's what I'm here to ask you to do for today.
Year after year, Adrian's Law is brought up before lawmakers in Topeka, but has never been signed into law. Adrian Jones' grandmother giving her testimony yet again, pleading with those in Congress to act.
I think it's imperative that this Adrian's Law is passed to put an extra layer of protection.
Oh yeah, it is.
For our children. And I hope and I pray that this is the year that it finally gets passed.
But now there's new opposition, this time from retired Topeka Police Chief Ed Klump.
It requires this contact in every single case without exception, and that's where we have a concern.
Adrian's Law would require.
What's the problem with that? How many cases are there? Yeah, year after year, they're saying it's too restrictive. Why? And what about it? They're supposed to do their job. Why can't they just have one person be accountable for what happens and then reporting it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand this.
Require adults report abuse when they're aware of it or face criminal charges. It also requires the investigating agency physically visit with the child, which includes Kansas Department for Children and Families and police. But Klump says the bill as written is too restrictive.
And the practicality is that can't always happen because.
Now, you know what this is, 2020, right? And gone but never forgotten. What excuse do any of these people have? Can't they pull the funding from anything else? All right, yeah. Grendel's mad here. Did they do it because he wasn't her biological? No, they did it because they're nasty METH heads. That's why they're nasty rug addicts. They just wanted to take it out on that particular kid, and he was the target. All right, let's finish this up, guys. This is a rough episode.
The various reasons.
Klump says law enforcement heavily relies on outside agencies to visit with children in need, like child advocacy centers that are trained to speak with children suspected of being abused. Klump gave testimony that police should not be liable for visiting the child just because they're the investigative agency.
There's just a lot of intricacies in these cases that require a lot of fluidity and a lot of ingenuity and a lot of flexibility to be used when we investigate the cases.
But Representative Vic Miller, a one-time municipal judge in Topeka who is familiar with Adrian's case, disagrees with Klump.
I see the problem that right now it's too easy to pass the buck.
I wish I could see that guy's face. He's hiding behind that mask. There's no reason to oppose a law like this and call it restrictive. Why not cut something here, rob Peter to pay Paul to help the children? It just doesn't make sense what their agenda is. Is it like maybe because these are poor families and they're already giving to the families? Maybe they're collecting state funding or food stamps, and they're like, who cares about these children? It doesn't matter. Thank you, Kel C. I think you're Kel C, but thank you, Kel, for becoming a member. I appreciate you. All right, let's finish this poor excuse for a man here. I don't like this at all. And then I'm gonna show you where you can donate to Khalil and go check out Crime Champs as well.
Adrian's abuse was documented by social workers and police.
That was one of the big problems, is that Missouri and Kansas officials were bouncing responsibility back and forth, and no one was taking responsibility.
Miller says he can't think of any reason why police shouldn't be liable in cases like Adrian's, and that Klump didn't give one.
I didn't hear anything compelling about his testimony.
Representative Luis Ruiz, who introduced Adrian's law, says he's considering amending the bill to make it more palatable for police, but makes no promises.
We may not be able to, but something needs to be done. We've worked on this for a long time, and this is the year we're going to get it done.
Adrian's grandmother, Judy Conway, is tired of waiting and thinks the bill should pass as is.
It's been such a long time, and it's been just excused.
Now, that's Adrian's biological grandma. She's the one that had reported it over and over and over, and they did nothing. All right, Lil Red, 12 months seems like longer. Love this group. And Jay, it does seem like longer, right? I think my longest member is 16 months. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. All right, these damn masks.
After excuse, and I think it's time for something to happen.
Adrian's law is now up for debate. Representative Ruiz says he will meet with that retired police officer to see if they can come up with an agreement.
Is anybody in the Kansas City area that can tell me if that even happened? Adrian's law introduced to Kansas City. Did it ever get passed, y'all? Did it get passed? I mean, is anybody from Kansas or live in Kansas or any of that? Kansas lawmaker introduced Adrian's Act after his life was taken. What do you mean? They reintroduce it again. All right, let's see what they introduce it as and what it's going to do. This is probably Adrian's law reintroduced to legislature 4 years ago. Introduces, that was 8 years ago. Why is it taking so long, guys? So it's been opposed, and then Adrian's law passes. Okay, let's take a look real quick at what passed and what the law is. That's what I want to know. And then again here, Governor Laura Kelly and advocates ceremonially sign Adrian's law. Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's take a look. Let's look at what Adrian's law is, and let's see that it finally got passed. You guys might know better than I do if you're in that area of what's going on. This case happened in 2015, and the wheels of justice have moved pretty slow. All right, let's take a look at this so you guys know what it means.
Passed. Passed.
Hold on. All right, Adrian Jones law. This was
He was
2022.
tortured, starved, and killed in 2015. His father and stepmother were sentenced to life in prison.
Uh-oh. All right, there it is.
KCTV5's Emily Rittman talked with Adrian's grandmother.
I
She
know.
helped get that bill passed. Emily, what did she have to say?
There you go.
Well,
Thank you.
Adrian's grandmother, Judy Conway Walsh, says that she is hopeful that Adrian's law will help save children that are abused or neglected.
Adrian Jones endured.
He's a beautiful angel, guys. This case happened 10 years ago. The Adrian's law signing was only 3 years ago, and before that, they were debating it. Now, they failed with the homeschooling, they failed with the medical, they failed with CPS, and they're all trying to blame it on each other, is what they're saying. Yeah, pre-COVID, what's with the mask? Damn masks. All right. But it did get passed ultimately. And yeah, may this little angel rest in peace. He's beautiful. Damn, man, these people.
Horrific abuse before his death. His Kansas Division of Children and Families file included more than 2,000 pages. Investigators say his father, Michael Jones, and stepmother, Heather Jones, had multiple surveillance cameras inside their Wyandotte County home.
Again, it's like Shanda Vander Ark, cameras everywhere, documenting the abuse, sharing it with her son, Paul, enjoying it, getting that power from doing it. All right, now look at the house. Again, the vibes are Jack and Lily in the yard and outside. Now, Lil Red, let me just tell a quick story. Grandma did not duke to take the child away from the father. Let me tell you what, my mom, for years when I was growing up, did a justice for many children in my family. Two of my family members were taken away from a relative, and my mom had the means to adopt them. They would have been my little brothers. They would have grown up with me. Guess what? They did not let her take him. Same with my nephew, which is also my nephew, and my mom is his grandma. They do not let somebody just roll in and take somebody unless they approve it. And they don't usually, and I don't know why. So, as many attempts as my mom tried with family members and relatives of mine to bring them into a loving family that has support financially, emotionally, all that, they still don't okay it. So, my answer to you there is the grandma probably tried and they probably denied it. And that's why she's over there now advocating and suing them. All right. I don't understand how they make those decisions, though. I just don't get it. I'll leave your comment for a minute because we're going to wrap this up after this. Stay here, please. Let's finish this up.
That recorded the abuse they inflicted on Adrian.
I saw those pictures and I saw those videos, and anybody would have stepped in and said, I'm calling the police now. We would have been there. And
yes, Mama, I'm glad you're here. I love you so much. Then she raised Terrell, which is my nephew, since he was a month old, which I went and picked him up, Mama. I drove all the way to the Bay Area when he was just weeks old, and I brought him back to my mom from his DRUG mom. And then we still get, chastised and all that for, my nephew went through a little bit of trouble with the law, a lot of trouble with the law, and did 5 years in prison. But my mom never gave up on him, never gave up on me, never gave up on my brother, always tried to save family members. And they don't let that happen. Had they let my mom raise my nephew or her grandson, he wouldn't have done those 5 years. I guarantee you it was the back and forth and the abuse that his mom put out there, the DRUG use. All right. So in a perfect world, they should have let her raise him with us and none of that would have happened. But instead, they didn't. And we pick up the pieces the pieces of a mess that other people put out there. And that's the best you can do, is to pick up the pieces after everything falls apart. All right. Yeah, they do need grandparents' rights. I agree. But I do love my mom and how much love she has for not only us as children, but my nephew, my cousins. My mom's just a big soft. You're a big mush pot, Mom. I love you.
Adrian would be alive today. And that is the hardest thing for me to deal with, knowing that it didn't have to end like this.
Kansas City, Kansas Police Department Detective Stuart Littlefield wanted to witness the signing of Adrian's law in person. His friend and fellow detective Brad Lancaster worked tirelessly to investigate Adrian's death. Lancaster was later killed in the line of duty while responding to another reported crime.
Please don't forget Adrian.
Love you, Mom.
And don't forget Olivia. And don't forget Brad.
Many people who live in the Wyandotte County community not only mourn Adrian's death, they also grieve the death of 3-year-old Olivia Jansen.
Oh, man. Say a prayer for her, too. And if any of you have cases that have touched you closely, even if they're not new, email me and we'll cover them, all right?
Who was killed in July of last year.
DCF received reports of suspected abuse of both Adrian and Olivia before their deaths.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Olivia's father, Howard Jansen III, and his girlfriend, Jacqueline Kirkpatrick, are charged with murder and
Oh my goodness. I remember this case by this knucklehead's tattoos. Man.
connection with her death. Adrian's law now requires child welfare employees and law enforcement officers to visually observe a child when they're investigating allegations
Common
of abuse
sense.
or neglect in Kansas.
They need to physically put their eyes on these children. No more knocking and just walking away, or knocking and walking away and never going back.
Advocates believe abuse suspects often try to prevent abused children from being seen by investigators.
And they said, well, he's at grandma's.
Yeah, if you guys can email me, Ali Callie and anybody else, I can't remember sometimes my own name. So guiltyofcrimeby@gmail.com. When I get off of here, I'm going to go do something, whatever next, chores, whatever. So if you guys email me, I am happy to cover a Bakersfield case of an 8-year-old little girl that we were talking about earlier. All right. I grew up down south, and Bakersfield is very, I know that place way too well. And I'm sure Foxy does as well. So yeah, send me an email. Do we know whose bodies were found in Florida? I do not know. Which case?
Is it a Nancy shop? No. Take us there. We have to see him.
I'm emotional and I'm also so happy. But I also think about Adrian not being here. And I wish he could be here.
Adrian's grandmother is thankful the law took effect in June. She believes the legislation brings long overdue changes to protect children.
I believe even if we save one child, it's going to make a difference. But I'm hoping that we can give a voice to a lot of children, and turn their fear into hope.
Now, I'm assuming that's grandma, hopefully, because I saw her with the mask and it looks like her. And yeah, Bakersfield, lots of mathematicians, but also, Foxy, the mathematicians make the mathematician, because Bakersfield has this open land where you can do, you can pull a Breaking Bad and nobody would even notice. All right, Annette came in and leave this much for me tonight. Love to all. I'm almost done. Thank you for coming here. All right, how about covering the mom who left? I did cover that, my friend. Patricia, I love your thoughts. I totally covered Kristen Candelario. I covered that case. I had to cover that case. She left her daughter scratching at her face to get food, to get anything. She left her with a diaper, scratching out her own eyes because she was so hungry. So yes, go to my playlist and check out Kristen Candelario. I covered that case already. All right. All right. Thank you. But thank you for the suggestion. I'm glad we're all on the same page about cases that we want to hear.
And just not have these kids crying out and asking for help. And the adults in social services or wherever it is, not listening to them.
Adrian's law also requires that if an adult is living in a home where a child is being abused, they are now required to report it. If not, they could be held criminally responsible.
Oh, good. They should be. All right, we're going to turn that. I'm going to show you real quick how to help Khalil. Don't forget, we're here because we want to know Adrian Jones and who he was. All right. So you guys say a prayer that Adrian Jones is not forgotten and he's not just another name. And this is a good case that gives you an idea of what happens when the system fails these children. All right. You said they'd have to include the law that workers have to actually see the child, right? Yeah, you're right. I'm understanding that correctly. That wasn't part of the protocol. Yeah, apparently they're living in the days of, they're living in archaic days, because why would somebody not have to see a child, right? It makes no sense, guys. It makes no sense at all. All right, let's take a look real quick, and then I'll let you guys, I'll dismiss you from class. I'm gonna have to get a bell. We'll hit the bell and it releases you from class. Here on Guilty of Crime, you got a class a day. All right, let me just share my screen here with you. Take a look at my YouTube page at Guilty of Crime. All right, if you go over to my page and you click on the posts, which used to be a community post, and scroll down, where you see this mofo was captured. I told you that earlier. Shelly, thank you so much. And Pisces, Carrie, you got to go back and watch this case, girl. Got to. All right. This is not what I was showing you, but he was captured. Then we caught up yesterday on the, well, this is a case too. Robert Drummond, go subscribe to, or Austin Robert Drummond, manhunt, caught. Go subscribe to Shanitra Speaks. And then take a look here. All right, listen. 3 days ago, I said, please help by donating to Khalil McLean, Dakota Collins' brother. He can use all the help just to have a place for one more night in a hotel he's staying. He was exposed to so many horrors with the violent death of his brother and what Al Mutant, I don't know how you say that, and his goons did. Please follow Crime Champs for more information and videos on Dakota Collins' case. Prayers for Khalil. Now, I put the link to the PayPal, and there should be more now. There should be more donations by now, I hope. But here it is, guys. Here's the let me put this up real quick. You guys can go check out Crime Champs or just go check out the GoFundMe and please donate to Khalil. Help him out. All right. So there you go. Tanaka, the name of the Japanese. All right, take a look at this. Help us help Khalil. You guys see those pictures? There they are. There's Khalil and there's Dakota up top. Crime Champs set this up, and $160 is much better than it was. So there you go. We got 5 people donating so far. 160 out of 15,000. That's a pretty high. It's a high bar to get to, but hey, go help him out. Read this, take a look. Let me drop this in chat. I donated to him. You can see some of the donations there. That's so nice of them to have done that. All right. I should have donated anonymously, but I didn't. All right. So there it is. I dropped the link. There you go. And let's remember justice for Adrian Jones. You guys hit that like button, share this. And then don't forget, go over to Crime Champs or go over and donate to Khalil and help him out. I love you guys. Thank you so much. We did not change YouTube names, but it's the way that YouTube can make sure people aren't replicating each other's accounts. No trolls, no creating stuff for people that don't exist. Audrey Cunningham, case from Texas. I know we've covered that in the past. I know I've watched that, but if you can go over to my page and take a look, I'd be happy to if you go to Guilty of Crime by j@gmail.com. Let me pull this down real quick just so I can show you guys. I know a lot of people are fairly newer to the channel maybe this last year, and you didn't realize that I don't cover just Madeline Soto. All right, so go take a look at my page there. The horror never stops. Take a look at my page. Go look at my playlist, folks. I do not just cover Madeline Soto, just in case you didn't know. Look at my playlist, guys. We got Adrian Jones, Austin Drummond, Melina Galinas, Fratellini. We remember that? Deadly Hoax. We got Momsters, Sarah Grace Patrick, Carmelo Anthony, Michaela Rains, Claire Bell. We've got some Florida crimes here. Summer Wells, TikTok Unalivers, Travis Decker. We've got House of Horrors, Alyssa Petrov, London Thomas, Malia Davis. Then we got the Exorcism case here in San Jose. Jack and Lily, Mia Campos, Kaimani Latigue, Emily Pike, Ruby and Frankie, the Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt, Lori Vallow, Casey Anthony, Colin Griffith, Naziah Harris, Slender Man stabbing, Corey Michelow. There's a big playlist on Corey Michelow's case. Idaho 4, the Zulocks. Those are the gay men that adopted their boy sons to abuse them. John Benet Ramsey, Madeline McCann, William Mozingo, United Healthcare, Luigi Mangione. Look at that. Jamie Komorowski, Collier Landry, Tiffany Lucas. Look at these cases, guys. It goes on and on. And here's Aubrey Stowers. That might have been I was thinking that you were referring to. So it's not Aubrey Stowers, but I have covered so many children's cases and they're all on this playlist, guys. They're all on all these playlists, all right? So, I mean, it just keeps going, right? Aubrey. We got P. Diddy, Sarah Boone, Sonia Massey, Chad Dorman, Stephen Stearns, Alexi, Jennifer Soto, The Roommate, Lauren DeMallo. And it goes on, guys. Look at these playlists. Jocelyn Nungarai, Sade Robinson, Corey Mitchell, Chris Watts, Sebastian Rogers, Taylor Shabusiness, guys. And it keeps going. I mean, I don't know how many more cases I can cover, but I'm going to try my best to get all of those in there, right? So do send me guiltyofcrime@gmail.com. No, you didn't do that. You changed it? No, I think YouTube did that. They changed how your username is presented across the entire platform, and they said that they did that so other people aren't cloning accounts. All right, Lady for Justice says rest in peace, Corey Mitchell. And Lady for Justice, we're covering Vigilante Dad tomorrow. All right, so you guys, I love you. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for being here. This hard topic. Lucy, how you doing, my friend? You rolled on in late. Please go back and rewatch this with the crew. All right, Shonda Vander Ark. I did not cover Shonda, but I did watch every second of everything. I'd be happy to cover any cases that you guys send over to me, all right? My goodness, when I think I'm offline dating, I just binge on Jay's dating site. All right, good night, you guys. I love each and every single one of you. Please do come back tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Love you too, Millie. Have a good night. Peace out, y'all.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use a Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?